Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup. We've covered this week's Marvel books as well as the first half of this week's DC books, and now it's time to wrap things up with the rest of this week's DC books. Kicking things off with Black Adam number 5. Where we left off, Black Adam had discovered that he had inadvertently given life to in his his journey back to Earth from the far reaches of space, centuries ago, or millennia ago. He inhaled some space dust, basically some sentient microbes, and those have since become the taking the form of the ancient Mesopotamian gods. One of those gods has come to see Sargon the Sorcerer. And the issue opens with Nergal coming to see him on account of the fact that he has taken their god's name, Sargon. But it's decided that Nergal makes the decision to turn Sargon the Sorcerer into Sargon of Akkad. Malik is running late for his shift, but yeah. Meanwhile, in Egypt, the fighter jet is making its way towards Kandak, and the pilot intends to attack. But Black Adam destroys the jet, and Bruce Wayne sees a report on it from when Theo Adams shows up at his brownstone. Apparently, Bruce has been funding pro-democracy rebels in Kandak. Well, when he had the money to, he was, and Adam wants him to stop. Though they argue about things, and Leo points out various things that, jokingly asking if this inconveniences Bruce or that inconvenience. The ancient plague he's dealing with, is that him? Though Batman states that when he comes for Adam will know. He also suggests that maybe Adam's allergic to the nth metal in his signet ring. But Malik is also dealing with the contagion and chowing down on his monoclonal antibody cocktails and hoping that maybe that'll save him. But he's needed in trauma, but as he explains, he has a rash on his arm. He leaves, though Theo Adams is waiting for him. Apparently, Adams states that he needs Malik's signet ring. Though after Theo leaves, Malik realizes that he basically just sent Adam to his home. So Malik leaves the hospital, says the word, and heads home. Manages to avoid smashing through the window, but there's someone Sargon is waiting on him. Not Theo Adam. Theo Adam has been apparently given a case of terminal aphasia. By Batman. And that is where the issue ends. One point to keep in mind is that after the incident with the fighter jet, Batman tells Oracle that he's running out of reasons not to end Black Adam. Should be interesting to see the fight between Theo and Bruce, though. Moving on to to our next book, we've got Dark Crisis Young Justice number 5. Where we left off, Connor, Tim, and Bart had discovered who was behind this nostalgia-themed world they appear stuck on, and it's the son of Mr. Mxyzptlk. Meanwhile, Red Tornado, Wonder Girl, and Arrowette were trying to make their way to said world. But Nixie Jr. explains that he made a perfect world for his favorite heroes, complete with their best girl. Thought about bringing the real Cassie, but she's gotten older, and that was more fun. Controllable. As they Nixie Jr. explains that Young Justice was his favorite heroes, and he hates seeing what's become of them. They've all been replaced. The issue, to be completely honest, the issue seems like DC taking a swing at toxic fandom, which, good job, guys. Much as Disney Plus She-Hulk series did. But Nixie Jr. gives a big long speech, which I would go as far as even dog whistles talking points used by certain extremists, or specific types of extremists, I should say. But of course, now that Nixie Jr. gets to meet his heroes, well, yeah, not too happy about things. And then the Invisible Jet crashes in with and it turns out that Impulse managed to send a signal to Cassie through the Speed Force. But Young Justice manages to escape. Via Red Tornado creating a force field around them, and Bart running them through the Speed Force. And they're back at the Hall of Justice, so no one appears to be there. However, Mickey Mxyzptlk has shown up. They won't be rid of him that easily, apparently. That is where the issue ends. This book started off just kind of dumb fun, and it's grown into something more. And I like it. I'm really digging it. I've read bits and pieces of the old Young Justice run. I remember it also being fun, and very much a product of its time. The meta commentary is nice. It's also, the series has been great in showing that the characters have grown. Even to a degree, Connor. Anyway, moving on to our next book, though, we've got Titans United Bloodpact #2. Where we left off after a fight with the Fearsome Five, or between the Titans and the Fearsome Five, the Tim Drake awoke in a strange, much different world where cultists seem to be running rampant, and though they're not so much cultists so much as followers of the church. Robin initially assumes it's the Church of Blood, but it turns out to actually be the Church of Raven. But Tim has managed to, has found at least a potential ally in the form of Jinx, formerly of the Fearsome Five. Jinx brings him to Mammoth, and Mammoth assumes that anyone calling themselves, anyone that says they're Robin would not, that is definitely not going to be have a fan of Batman, and so they take him to Batman. And it's revealed it's not that when Raven took over, she apparently killed everyone, all the heroes. We see the corpses of Martian Manhunter, Flash, John Stewart, Constantine, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, Superman, Plastic Man, Batman, and Aquaman. But Simon calls for his Freedom 5. They go to rescue him, but it is, of course, a trap. Mammoth sacrifices himself, though Jinx is injured, and Simon, however, recognizes Tim. And it telepathically informs Dick of how reality is supposed to be. The issue ends with Tim and Dick hugging each other when the Confessor General shows up. Who is the Confessor General, you ask? Starfire. And that is where the issue ends. I'm enjoying this miniseries, and to be completely honest, I'm likely going to be picking up, or at least looking into the post Dark Crisis Titans reboot. I assume there's going to be one. So, moving on to our next book, we've got DC vs. Vampires All Out War #4. Where we left off at the Florida Blood Farm. A distraction had been made to mask the Booster Gold, Mary Marvel, Midnight, and Midnighter entering the Blood Farm. They do. They run into the Question, who has been turned. Though for whatever reason, Midnighter can't. The tactical supercomputer in his head won't show the Question. But he's got 4 knights to back him up: Arkham, Atomic, Shining, and Prometheus. Elsewhere, Azrael is fighting with the System. While Starfire and Batwoman are flying out with Shazam and the Baron on their tail. Mary's dealing with the Knights, though her lightning punch has no effect on Shining Knight. However, her lightning does. Booster's injured, fairly badly, no less, but he uses his force field to save the people in the blood pods. Prometheus manages to hypnotize Mary into reverting back into Mary Batson. Starfire dumps Batwoman into a swamp and gets herself some sunlight, allowing herself to recharge. We find out that Mary Batson was turned. However, she had an uninfected immortal body that she could change into, so that's what she's been doing. Once the people in the blood pods have safely landed, Booster Gold uses his force field generator to create one in the Atomic Knight's head. Then Prometheus and Midnighter go up against each other, or rather their comic computers do, and Prometheus' head explodes. However, the Question is still around and stakes Midnighter. But apparently, even with 2 hearts, it still hurts like hell. Mary says her magic word again and is able to take care of, put down the Question. She drags Midnighter over to Booster so he can perform a transfusion, while Mary goes after their target, Mirror Master. However, Mirror Master is decapitated by Azrael. And apparently he's been turned again. The system was trying to swallow him like a riptide and erase him completely. The vampire said that they'd turn him again if he helped them. He'd still be him. He'd be parasitic scum, but he'd still be him. In the chase for Starfire, Shazam is hiding from the is not entirely fond of the sunlight at the moment. But Superman says to him, boys run away from the hurt, but Supermen embrace it. We've got a backup story focusing on Black Lightning. Apparently Firehawk arrived at his home one day to deliver a letter from but was killed before he could accept it. She's buried with a crossbow over her in the hopes that maybe that'll, but there are vampires watching from the trees. Vampires led by Looker. Apparently a priest used to live down the road, would come by and bless the well water. So Jefferson has to take sprinklers, but Looker goes after him, and Jefferson stakes her, and he decides to head out to San Francisco to see if his family's there, potentially springing a trap. That is where the issue ends. Kind of heartbreaking that they got rid of Azrael. It's understandable why Azrael opted to be turned back into a vampire, but at the same time, yeah. So it does suck that he opted to do so. Bring us to our next book, DCeased, War of the Dead Gods, number 3. Or Undead Gods. Where we left off, Korugar had fallen. So we open 2 months previously on Ran. The Ran-Thanagar War is still blazing forth, with the anti-life plague having not made it to Ran. But the Zeta Beam hits and sends Adam Strange home. He sees Wonder Woman and is promptly attacked by her and turned. 2 weeks later, Adam Strange returns to Ran and infects everyone he can. In the Rylex system, a soldier arrives at a bar looking for fearless, noble warriors. Instead, he finds Lobo. But the Thanagarian warship shows up, and the anti-life Thanagarians start wreaking havoc, and, well, they scratch Lobo with no effect. And the one that scratched Lobo, well, gets his head popped off. The main man takes the Thanagarian's wings and destroys the Thanagarian warship. And Lobo will save the universe, for a price. On Themyscira, the funeral for Diana is held. More of a Viking funeral, with Artemis and Oliver lighting the boat. But Ares has arrived. So he's not here to ruin the funeral, even though he wasn't invited. He has something to show the heroes. In the Hall of the Gods, he takes them to the Hall of the Gods, and the golden, all he takes the golden bow of Apollo because, well, Archer. But apparently this has happened, something similar has happened before. But there's a priority alert for all Green Lanterns. They're to return to Oa for briefing immediately, with any and all allies. But we do get confirmation that Kyle Rayner survived. But Ares states that the universe will die because Erebos is here. And that is where the issue ends. Honestly, I don't think there's been a bad issue of any of the DCeased books. And I kind of appreciate the idea that they're really just going for, okay, we're expanding the story little by little, but we're not just putting them out to put them out. Which brings us to our last book, Rogues, Book 4. Where we left off, the heist had gone sideways. At least half of the rogues were dead, but maybe they had a new way out. The stolen baby of Gorilla Grodd. So the DEO is en route to Gorilla City, but Gorilla City appears to be in shambles. Grodd arrives on the scene at the vault. But basically, like I said, things have gone sideways, and now they have to figure out how to, unfuck things. When their detective ally opts to leave, however, gets frozen in place by cold. And Cold and Heatwave make it basically do a quick plan, and then Cold, Glider, and Bronze Tiger head out. Cold wants to talk with Grodd. But Grodd wants Len to figure out, wants Cold to figure out how the mirror gun works. However, Cold's like, hey, let us go, or we're gonna kill your kid. To which Grodd says, no, go ahead, I can make another. But Cold thinks about the offer he's been given, which would even have him working not a supervisor position within Grodd's kingdom. Looks at the mirror gun and destroys it. Cold freezes Grodd's cops into place, but the ones who weren't frozen go into the bank. And, Heatwave is covering Lisa and Bronze Tiger. Bronze Tiger makes his way through the girls coming through the tunnel. And so Grodd and Cold duke it out. Cold's able to get a few hits, mainly just kind of, using his cold gun to freeze bits in place, but Heatwave blows himself up, limps out of the bank before collapsing and giving into his injuries. Grodd gets the upper hand against Grodd, gives him a pretty decent beating. But the casing on his gun's broken, though. But he manages to get he gets it close to sticks the barrel in Grodd's mouth. The gun explodes, destroying Grodd's head, and also impaling and basically running Cold through. A bunch of the girls managed to get out of Gorilla City. Grodd's son is returned to his mother, and Tiger and Golden Glider begin to make their way back to civilization when they're shot down by the DEO. Though Director Chase is not happy. After all, she didn't get clear firing. But it begins snowing in the jungle. We kind of look back at where everyone's ended up. And Cold dies with his last word being, cool. And that is where the series ends. Good read. Kind of depressing. I was hoping that the rogues would, or at least Cold, maybe Cold, his sister, and Bronze Tiger would make it out alive, but oh well. Anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal account in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.